What if the most powerful force keeping millions in certain religious systems isn't faith, but fear? We're told religion offers peace, comfort, and a moral compass. For many, it absolutely does, but for countless others, it's a source of deep-seated anxiety. A fear of hell that keeps them up at night, a fear of being cast out by their own family, even a fear that to simply question is to sin. This is the fear few talk about, a hidden architecture of control that has shaped rigid belief systems for centuries. It's a calculated strategy designed to keep people obedient, submissive, and dependent on a religious authority. Fear is one of the most powerful tools of manipulation ever created, and some religious institutions have mastered its use. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 dark truths about how fear is weaponized. We'll explore how systems that claim to bring peace can rely so heavily on intimidation. But we'll also ask a critical question: is all faith just a trap? Or can it offer genuine benefits free from fear? The answer is more complex than you think. Truth number 10. The illusion of special knowledge. A key tactic in controlling groups is the illusion of special knowledge. Leaders claim to have exclusive access to divine truth or secret revelations not available to the average follower. This positions them as indispensable middlemen between God and the people, creating a rigid hierarchy where their authority feels absolute. This is often accompanied by statements like, "I have been called by God," which makes followers dependent on them for guidance. They are taught that they cannot trust their own interpretations and must rely on enlightened leaders. This disempowers the individual and transfers all authority to the leadership. This tactic also deflects accountability. If a leader's actions are questioned, they can simply claim their guidance comes from a higher source that the questioner isn't privileged to understand. It creates a closed loop of logic where the leader is always right. By creating this illusion, leaders can justify their control and suppress dissent. Truth number 9, the us versus them mentality. One of the most effective ways to foster group cohesion is to create a common enemy. Many high-control religious groups cultivate an us versus them mentality, dividing the world into two camps: the believers, us, and the unbelievers, them. This creates a powerful in-group identity while instilling fear and distrust of the outside world. This worldview is often reinforced by teachings that frame the secular world as a place of moral decay and spiritual danger. Followers are warned that outsiders are lost, misguided, or even hostile to their faith. This creates a psychological fortress where the group is seen as a safe haven from a corrupt world. The us versus them narrative reinforces the group's sense of specialness, suggesting salvation can only be found within. It discourages members from leaving, as the outside world is portrayed as dangerous. Any criticism from outside is dismissed as persecution, which only strengthens the group's resolve and solidifies the leader's control. Truth number 8, emotional manipulation through love bombing. Not all control is based on overt threats. One of the most insidious tactics is love bombing. This technique is often used during recruitment and involves showering a potential member with an overwhelming amount of affection and praise. For someone feeling lonely or vulnerable, this experience can be intoxicating. The term was coined in the 1970s by members of a religious cult. It's a coordinated effort where existing members flood a recruit with flattery and intense interest, creating a euphoric sense of acceptance and a strong emotional attachment to the group very quickly. However, this love is often conditional. As soon as the person shows doubt or starts to pull away, the affection can be withdrawn and replaced with criticism or shaming. The memory of that initial honeymoon phase becomes a powerful hook, making the person desperate to regain the group's approval. Love bombing exploits the human need for connection, turning it into a tool of psychological control. Truth number 7, the promise of a transactional heaven. While the threat of hell is a powerful stick, the promise of heaven is an equally potent carrot. In some fear-based systems, heaven isn't a gift of grace, but a transactional reward to be earned through strict obedience. This turns the spiritual journey into a performance where every action is measured against a long list of rules. This transactional model can create constant spiritual anxiety. Instead of finding peace, believers can be trapped in a relentless cycle of trying to be good enough, reducing faith to a series of tasks rather than a relationship. This system is incredibly effective for control because it places religious leaders in the position of gatekeepers. They define the rules for earning this eternal reward and decide who meets the criteria. The promise of heaven becomes a tool to enforce conformity, demand loyalty, and extract resources. By making heaven a prize to be won, these systems keep followers in a state of striving and submission. Truth number 6, the fear of meaninglessness. Humans are meaning-seeking creatures. We have a deep need to feel that our existence matters. This fundamental need is what makes the fear of meaninglessness so powerful. Certain religious frameworks present themselves as the sole provider of purpose, a ready-made answer to life's biggest questions. They offer a grand narrative where you play a crucial role. The unspoken threat here is what happens if you walk away. You're left to face the idea of a universe without inherent meaning and to construct your own purpose from scratch. A daunting task. This fear of meaninglessness can be paralyzing. The fear that without that specific religious structure, life is just a random series of events. Some institutions leverage this by framing their teachings as the only defense against existential dread. This solution comes at a cost. By positioning itself as the exclusive source of meaning, a controlling religion discourages you from exploring your own values. The fear of being adrift in a meaningless world keeps many people tethered to beliefs they might otherwise question. Truth number 5. The suppression of critical thought. In many fear-based religious systems, doubt is not seen as intellectual curiosity, but as a moral failing. This suppression of critical thought is a crucial tactic for maintaining control because an unquestioning follower is an obedient follower. This is often achieved by labeling doubt as a temptation from an evil force. You're told that faith, not reason, is the safest path, and that to question is to open the door to corruption. This creates an internal conflict where you learn to fear your own valid questions, leading to thought stopping, a psychological technique to shut down any thinking that challenges the doctrine. Religious leaders in such systems often position themselves as the sole interpreters of divine will. Questioning their authority is equated with questioning God himself. This creates a culture of intellectual dependency, where followers are trained to accept information without scrutiny. By demonizing doubt, these systems protect their doctrines from challenge and ensure their power remains intact. Truth number 4, the fear of isolation. Humans are social creatures. Our need for community is wired into our DNA. For many, religion provides this community, but this same strength can be turned into a formidable weapon of control, the fear of isolation. In many high-control religious groups, the community is everything. Your friends, family, and social life are all tied to your membership. This creates a powerful incentive to conform. If you question the beliefs or disobey the rules, you risk losing it all. The threat of being shunned or excommunicated isn't just a spiritual punishment, it's social death. This tactic preys on our deepest fears of being alone. In some groups, leaders can instruct family and friends to cut off all contact with a member who is deemed unfaithful. That person is suddenly cast out, left to navigate the world without their support system. The emotional pain can be devastating. This fear keeps many people in line, forcing them to suppress their doubts. It's a cruel but effective way to ensure loyalty. Truth number 3, blaming the victim. One of the cruelest tactics is victim blaming. In these systems, personal suffering, tragedy, or even abuse is sometimes reframed as a divine test, a punishment for a hidden sin, or the result of the victim's own lack of faith. This twisted logic shifts responsibility away from the perpetrator or institution and onto the person who is already hurting. For example, if someone is struggling with an illness, they might be told their lack of faith is preventing them from being healed. If someone is a victim of abuse within the community, they may be shamed for causing division if they seek justice. This invalidates their pain and adds guilt to their trauma. This tactic protects the institution from accountability. By blaming the victim, the system maintains its image of perfection and discourages people from speaking out about injustice. It is a profound betrayal of trust, where the institution that promises comfort becomes the source of further psychological harm. Truth number 2, weaponized guilt. Guilt, when weaponized, is a devastating tool of control. Some religious systems are built on a foundation of inherent human imperfection. The doctrine of original sin, for example, can be interpreted to mean that you are born flawed, broken, and in need of saving. From the moment you enter the world, you are already guilty. This creates a psychological state where you feel perpetually indebted to the religious institution offering the only path to redemption. This isn't just feeling bad for a mistake, it's a pervasive sense of inadequacy. You can be taught to feel guilty for natural human desires, thoughts, and emotions. Your very nature is framed as something to be overcome. This weaponized guilt serves two purposes. First, it makes you dependent. If you believe you are fundamentally flawed, you'll constantly seek forgiveness from the religious authority. Second, it makes you easier to manipulate. When you're conditioned to feel guilty, you're more likely to comply with demands to purify yourself. This creates a cycle of guilt, confession, and temporary relief that keeps you emotionally tethered. Truth number 1, the threat of eternal damnation. The first and most powerful tool is the threat of eternal damnation. It's a concept so terrifying it can override logic. Some branches of Christianity and Islam, for example, teach that a day of judgment will come. For those who don't measure up, the punishment isn't just death, but an eternity of unimaginable suffering in hell. This isn't just an abstract idea, it's a psychological weapon. Exposing children to graphic imagery of hell can contribute to lasting psychological harm, including anxiety and obsessive symptoms. This teaching takes the natural fear of death and twists it into a tool of control, making death a high-stakes moment of divine judgment. This creates constant anxiety. Am I good enough? Have I followed all the rules? This worry ensures that believers remain dependent on the institution that claims to hold the keys to salvation. It builds a mental prison where individuals are too afraid to step out of line for fear of risking not just social rejection, but eternal torture. The pivot, the good side of faith. So, is faith nothing more than a psychological trap? Not that simple. It would be a disservice to ignore the genuine psychological benefits that faith and spirituality provide for millions. Studies have shown that faith can be a powerful coping mechanism, providing hope, resilience, and purpose. It can reduce feelings of hopelessness, and some research indicates that a positive view of God is associated with lower levels of anxiety. Religious communities also provide strong social support networks, which are crucial for mental well-being. The critical distinction, however, lies in the foundation of that faith. The psychological benefits are most profound when faith is grounded in love and free inquiry, rather than fear and control. A healthy spirituality empowers individuals and fosters connection. Only when faith is stripped of fear can it truly become a source of peace. We've seen how fear can be used to manipulate and control through threats of damnation, isolation, and weaponized guilt. But we've also seen that faith itself is not the enemy. The real battle is about choosing the foundation of your worldview. A belief system built on fear will always seek to control you. It will demand your submission and punish dissent. But a belief system built on love, intellectual honesty, and compassion is one that can set you free. It encourages curiosity and celebrates your autonomy. The ultimate power lies not in blind obedience, but in reclaiming your own mind. It's having the courage to ask hard questions and to build a life based on your own values, whether they include faith or not. If this video resonated with you, please share your story in the comments. What has your experience been with faith and fear? Your story matters. And if you want more content that challenges you to think critically, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Thank you for watching.